I would like at the outset to welcome you to the debate here this morning, and I thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. As you know, Minister, the agri-sector is a vital part of our national economy, and yet there are a number of serious issues for farmers which put many of those people in that sector at risk. There simply isn't enough return on investment for some farmers at the moment. The margins are too tight, and many are now having to consider their future. This is a very serious issue for rural Ireland. There is an issue of oversupply and dropping prices, which is certainly causing an issue of confidence throughout the industry. During the week ending January the 20th, the number of cattle processed by the Department of Agricultural beef export plants totalled 36,656. During the same week in 2017, the figure was 33,256. The slump in cattle prices before Christmas has continued, unfortunately, into 2019, with many factories quoting unchanged prices, and farmers are struggling to have stock killed, with many having to wait weeks, and ultimately the prices are simply unsustainable, and this cannot continue. We need, Minister, a clear plan of what measures and additional supports are being developed and considered by you, Minister, to address this situation. The growing concerns around viability of the agri-sector and what help is being offered to those that need it most. Then, of course, we have the cloud of Brexit also hanging over us. There is a distinct feeling of despair surrounding beef exports that are meant for the UK market, particularly in the event of a hard Brexit. It was deeply worrying and concerning to hear IFA President Joe Healy warning earlier this month that if the UK crashes out of the EU, and I quote, "we're facing a potential wipeout of beef production in this country." According to Board BIA, total Irish exports of beef for 2017 amounted to 556,000 tonnes, with 51% of that going to the UK, valued at €1.3 billion. We need to know what the government's plan is to help support all those farmers who have invested so heavily in their stock and indeed invested so heavily in their livelihood and that of their families. Farmers need to know where they stand. We also need more detail on the aid packages that the government has said it will demand from Brussels in the event of a hard Brexit. We also need clarity around the state of play is with beef producer organisations and how the Minister envisages this panning out in the future. You may be aware that the Beef Plan Group have also added their voice to this beef crisis issue and have been holding a series of public meetings across the country seeking support for the beef plan policy, and it seems to be striking a chord with many farmers throughout rural Ireland. They too have pinpointed what it sees as a lack of support from the market for a quality beef product, as well as processors paying below the cost of production for such a product. The Beef Group believe that there is at present an oversupply of cattle in the market, and to tackle this they have suggested removing mandatory stocking levels. The group is aiming for the introduction of a programme centred on sustainable quality assurance instead of quantity-driven policies, and to tackle this issue, which should increase the price of beef in the process. The group are also calling for incentives to be introduced which will see beef producers who exit the market switch instead to enter fodder production programmes and/or environmental schemes, which in turn would create more balance in the sector. Minister, farmers are under severe pressure at this moment in time, and their stress levels are extremely high. They need government to provide some clarity in terms of beef producers heading into the coming month and how they plan to tackle that. I look forward to your response. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Senator Minister.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach, and I'd like to thank the Senator for raising this issue. I should say at the outset, I am a active beef farmer as well, so I appreciate the concerns that are being expressed, and I'm very conscious that 2018 in particular was a difficult year for the beef sector, particularly in terms of unprecedented weather events which resulted in increased input costs due to fodder shortages, and I'm deeply committed to fully supporting and developing Ireland's beef sector. One of the unique strengths of the agri-food sector has been the shared vision for sustainable development of the sector in Foodwise 2025. It is crucial that we all continue to work together. Minister Creed has utilised the Beef Round Table to highlight the need for stakeholders to recognise their interdependency and to support the sector through examination of mechanisms to add value along the supply chain and increase strength of all links in the supply chain, including beef producer organisations. My department is currently engaging extensively with stakeholders in relation to beef producer organisations, which have strong potential to help strengthen the position of the primary producer in the supply chain. I firmly believe that producer organisations have the potential to play this very important role. My department is continuing in its efforts to drive the potential of this scheme through engagement with an array of stakeholders across different fora. The department has rolled out a range of schemes as part of the €4 billion Rural Development Programme 2014 to 2020. The Beef Data and Genomics Programme is currently the main support specifically targeted for the suckler sector, which provides Irish beef farmers with €300 million in funding over the current Rural Development Programme period. This scheme is an agri-environmental measure to improve the environmental sustainability of the national suckler herd by increasing genetic merit within the herd. In addition to the BDGP, other supports which are available for suckler farmers include Pillar 2 of the CAP payments, including GLOS, ANCs, Knowledge Transfer Group. Suckler farmers also benefit from the Basic Payment Scheme and greening payments under Pillar 1. The National Farm Survey data suggests that suckler farmers receive support equivalent to approximately €500 per suckler cow on average. It is also envisaged that suckler farmers will be the primary beneficiaries of the €23 million increase in ANC, in addition to the €20 million available under the new beef environmental efficiency pilot currently being announced by Minister Creed. That's actually why he sends his apologies for today, actually, which is targeted at suckler farmers and specifically aimed at further improving the carbon efficiency of beef production. The Department is currently examining all appropriate measures to support the different agri-food sectors, including the suckler sector, in preparation for the next iteration of the CAP. We are committed to ensuring that suckler farmers continue to receive strong support in the next CAP. Such payments should support and encourage suckler farmers to make the best decisions possible to improve the profitability and economic and environmental efficiency of their farming systems. The development of markets for Irish beef was a particular priority for many of the trade missions in 2017 and 18. The opening of the Chinese market for the Irish beef last year was the culmination of significant work over a period of years. The Department continues to prioritise efforts to gain market access to new third country markets, and equally importantly, to deepen the existing markets for Irish beef products. Just to say again, I am deeply committed to ensuring that suckler farmers continue to receive strong support under the next CAP. My view is that such payments should support and encourage suckler farmers to make the best decisions possible to improve profitability and environmental efficiency in their farming systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Supplementary, Senator.
Yeah, thank you, Leska Hillick. Thank you, Minister, for your comprehensive report in response to my commencement debate here this morning. My reason for bringing this up is the urgency of the situation, and you're in that farming business yourself, so you fully appreciate the difficulty that farmers are going through at the moment. But there is a serious sense of urgency attached to this, and the new beef group, along with other farm bodies, have put forward some proposals that I think are credible and need to be explored if we are to have a future. And I would appreciate if serious consideration would be given to those. As we know, Minister, in rural Ireland we depend greatly on the farmer doing well. If the farmer does well, the whole local economy does well. And conversely, if that's not happening, we have a serious problem. And with the cloud hanging over us of Brexit and the worry of that. It's a very worrying and stressful time for farmers, particularly so for those along the border areas. And this is an issue that I would like to see government taken very seriously and bringing forward proposals that would help to alleviate the current situation that farmers find themselves in. Thanks, Minister.
Thank you, Senator. Minister.
Thanks, Senator. I agree. I think in my opening remarks I made a point of the importance of the realisation that there is a serious interdependency here, that the beef sector and the beef processors and the beef markets are all very fine, but if you don't have a primary producing base that actually feels like that they have a viable future, the whole thing falls asunder. And I think in terms of all those suggestions, we do need to look at various different systems and models, be it contracts, fixed price contracts, or fixed agreement contracts with the processors for some or all of from their producers, and the establishment of producer organisations. Opening up for scrutiny the supply chain prices, which each player along the chain has to have so much of a margin. Transparency in that, I think, is really important, and we see other countries where that's beginning to roll out and have a positive effect. So I'd urge all, the Beef Forum is there, the Round Table Group is there, everything gets solved, if it's going to be solved, in discussion and agreement, and an agreement that's honoured, I think, at the end of the day, not reneged on. I think that's really important. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you.